Hey everybody, Asher here with another Stellaris preview, where today we're going to be talking about government. That's right. You thought civics class was just enough. Today we get to talk about the joy, fun, and wonder of ruling over your space empire. Now, it's something that a lot of 4X games and a lot of strategy games have gone into. Some handle it differently than others, but I've always appreciated that Paradox has tried to make their governments more than just like window dressing or just like here's a stat boost and that's it, or here is the optimal path you want to take for something. Although there is probably with governments as well as some research things, which we'll get into in a little bit as well as in a later video. Some min-maxing that can be done, but the government system in Stellaris, and I'll go ahead and pull up an image here, is pretty much one that is defined by your people's ethos or ethics. It's something that you get to choose at the beginning of the game when you create your species, and essentially it's kind of how you start, like your world order, who are the ones that make it out into space. Now what it looks like right here is a bunch of pretty colors and a lot of pretty icons that are human in form, but hey, we don't have to discriminate against here, there, anywhere. But hopefully at the end of this video you'll have a better idea of sort of what this grid means and how it can pertain to you, because I do think government, at least in Paradox games, and to a lesser extent some other strategy games, is a good part of the narrative, a good part of the storytelling potential. So, of course, with government, there are interactions that you'll have with other empires, and people tend to like governments that are similar to theirs, dislike governments that are dissimilar to theirs. But it doesn't stop or end at that. There's really three sort of broad hats. It's almost the Aristotle approach to government. You have your autocracies, which are essentially your government where there is a single individual that controls. You have your oligarchies, where it is the upper elite, upper crust, or just some select group that control everything. And then you have your democracies, which it puts the things in the hands of the mob. And who really wants that in Space Empire? Well, okay, that's up to you all, because obviously we are all going to be playing the game ourselves. And I guess part of what it boils down to is what you kind of want out of the game. Now, each of these, the Stellaris Wiki is a great resource to have for all kinds of benefits, bonuses, and everything on there. And the scope of this video is more just to kind of go over briefly how the government system works. So I would direct you to the wiki if you want to know just a little bit more about like what the actual specific bonuses are for everything. Pardon that very weird sound here. But I do want to go over what each of the icons mean and a little bit about them. We'll take, for instance, the thing that is first, military dictatorship, which is a green icon that looks like it is one soldier. It's an autocracy. And just to give you an example of this, you can get this at the very start. If you remember a picture I posted in the last video, when you get to choose your ethics, you only get a few points. You can be militaristic in something else, you can be spiritualist in something else, or you can decide to be fanatical. And if you are a militarist or a fanatical militarist, then pretty much that opens up the military dictatorship. Now that closes off some other things as well. For instance, if you select being an individualist or a fanatic individualist, none of the autocracies are open to you. But the goal for Stellaris is that you'll have at least 3 of these little buttons here, or 3 of these little government types available to you, and at least. And what it does come down to is what ethics you pick. For instance, if you decide you want to be a fanatic spiritualist, you could become a theocratic oligarchy. And that would actually decrease your ethics divergence, and you would have a few like select priests actually control the government, and your ruler title would be Inquisitor. So all of these just government ideas dictate some of those things. For, like in sort of an idea science world in a way, if you select Materialist, then or fanatic materialist, you could actually become a scientific directorate, which is about what it sounds like, other than everything being funded through research grants and everything. But it does give you, it doesn't just say, okay, here's a flat research boost. This is one of the things that I do find pretty interesting about how the Stellaris developers, Paradox Interactive, have worked through this system and made it more just, here's some flat bonuses, which there are plenty of those in there. But the Science Directorate has, as one of their bonuses, scientists are eligible for rulership, which makes sense because other governments such as like the military junta, which is an oligarchy, or even as a military republic, you have your generals and stuff that can go up for leadership, which does happen. But in the scientific directorate, not only do you have scientists for rulership, but also you have research alternatives. Now, how research is done in the game is that you have 3 cards. So and essentially you have 3 slots per research. It's a lot like Distant Worlds in that way. And each of those have 3 options that you can get. Well, a Science Directorate type of government gets 4 options instead of 3. So that's pretty cool. And if you find some rare technologies, which like I said, I'll go a little bit more into that later on, although there's not so much to it more than that. If you have some other technologies that you've, say, researched, or you started to research based on shipwrecks that you've gotten, those will stick around too. But there are, like I said, some types of government that are locked out. Some, whether it's oligarchy, autocracy, or democracy, that's locked out just based on some ethics. But then on the other hand, if you say that you're peaceful, you're not necessarily going to be able to get some of the militaristic types of government. If you're a collectivist, you're not going to be able to get a democracy because, well, the collectivist, at least from the developer's perspective, is more of people, kind of like a hive mind to a way. There's good examples from even science fiction games like Alpha Centauri to a point. But you have people who essentially come together to work for the greater good. And apparently that can be democracy to a point, but it's taken a little bit more to extreme than that. But I do think the mix is pretty nice, pretty sustainable, especially because you're not stuck with that government over the course of the game. Like, there's other games that'll let you kind of overthrow, change your government and everything else. And Paradox Interactive is very familiar with that. I mean, if you've played Europa Universalis or Crusader Kings, the systems are not dissimilar there. But what I do like about Stellaris as well is the breadth of which they give for advanced government types. And I am going to go over each of these individually. These have not all been revealed, to my understanding, and I am making this recording after the latest Stellaris developer video, but before I actually have had a chance to watch it. So if there's some things that have been introduced, I apologize. Let me know in the comments as well. But you can actually, it's a form of advanced government, and these are things that you can research and actually build yourself on. It's not necessarily ultimate governments, but things like an AI overlordship, if you want the computers to take control, or a democratic utopia, whatever that means. Apparently that's where we make space great again and build a wall. Illuminated technocracy, which is an upgrade from the Science Directorate, and it's something that you research as an improved government type. An Irenic democracy, which is an upgrade from the moral democracy, or an Irenic monarchy. So, like I said, and some of these things, the way that they've been revealed is actually through seeing other races in the Blord stream or the developer video playthrough upgrading this. But what are some other ones that have been introduced beside there? Mega corporation, which is an upgrade from a plutocratic oligarchy, a mega corporation, in other words. Walmart wins, and now it's Walmart in space. Or I guess if we're going the idiocracy route, Costco is now in space. A subconscious consensus, which is an upgrade from a direct democracy. Now, direct democracy is interesting. That's a democracy where every single person votes, and there is still some of it existing in America, although on a small scale. America, for those of you who do not know, is a democratic republic where we elect people to go and vote on things for us in and there's multiple branches and all that, but pretty much it's not just a direct here. Subconscious consensus actually kind of touches on some sci-fi tropes and other things there, where it's like, okay, you have something in your brain and everyone gets to have a say on it, but I guess the brain chip reads it for you and directs your vote that way without necessarily you ever even knowing. So like I said, there's some really cool, interesting things that are available in the game. I don't necessarily know how they'll play out. They may affect how you have interaction with anomalies. It may affect how you have interactions with other empires. But still, it is pretty neat to see that. A few others here. Star Empire, which is very common, makes sense. You get to be the emperor of your own happy, joy. Upgrade from a despotic empire, which if you don't know what a despotic empire is, it's pretty much about what it sounds like. One absolute ruler to rule them all. Just because you can be a despot doesn't mean you have to be an iron-fisted despot. It's just that absolute power tends to corrupt absolutely. And then the other one that at least I'm seeing here, and if there's some more that have been revealed, I apologize, is the Transcendent Empire, which is an upgrade from Divine Mandate. So I do think, I don't know, probably the comparison that I make most to some of these is if you read the backstory for Civilization Beyond Earth, which some of the backstory stuff's very interesting. I think the premise is very interesting. The game itself, its execution is probably an expansion away from being what a lot of people had hoped it would be, and even then, it's not going to hold up to Alpha Centauri 2. But one of the things that I did like about the backstory for Civ Beyond Earth, or even Alpha Centauri while we're at it, is that you have all of these different ideals that fly off into space. And what I'm hoping for Stellaris, and what I hope to see, is that as you explore the galaxy, you get a sense of this sort of different community of a lot of different ideas. I don't know if it's going to go necessarily to the route of, say, something like Alpha Centauri, where the game's always tied into some kind of narrative, because that's never really something that Paradox games have done. But I do think it is something that could even come to play in, whether it's, once again, some anomalies you might discover, some other events that could happen, even some of the in-game crises could possibly be influenced by what kind of government system you had. But that's all speculation. For now, I am curious. Let me know what kind of government you are thinking of starting as. I've really considered doing my first playthrough as spiritual space spiders, but we'll have to sort of leave that here or there. But for now, that's it. This is Asher with another Stellaris preview. We're talking about government because, obviously, government is an integral part of any Paradox Grand Strategy game, and Stellaris is no different. So thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more Stellaris content. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know, once again, how you're thinking of ruling over your people in space, and I'll see you again next time. Take care.